ప్రేక్షకులందరికీ నమస్కారం. భక్తి భారతి ఛానల్ కి స్వాగతం. నయాస్వామి దేవర్షి గారు ఇప్పుడు మనతో పాటు ఉన్నారు. మనం లైఫ్ లో ఎన్నో ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ తో సతమతం అవుతూ ఉంటాం. అసలు మన లైఫ్ ఎటుపోతుందో కూడా మనకే కొన్నిసార్లు అర్థం కాదు. ఇలాంటి విషయాలన్నిటి గురించి కూడా చాలా క్లియర్ గా హౌ టు సీ గాడ్, హౌ టు లవ్ గాడ్ అండ్ హౌ టు లవ్ అవర్ సెల్ఫ్స్ అండ్ హౌ టు గెట్ ఇన్ టు సెల్ఫ్ రియలైజేషన్, వీటన్నిటి గురించి కూడా మనకి టీచింగ్స్ అందిస్తూ ఉంటారు. మరి నయాస్వామి దేవర్షి గారు రీసెంట్ గా క్రియా యోగా అనే పుస్తకాన్ని రాశారనమాట. ఆయన రాసిన ఎన్నో పుస్తకాల్లో ఇది కూడా ఒక అద్భుతమైన పుస్తకం. సో గురువు గారిని పాలకరించి అసలు పరమహంస యోగానంద గారి గురించి, ఆనంద సంఘ గురించి, అలాగే ఈ క్రియా యోగా గురించి ఎన్నో విషయాలు తెలుసుకుందాం. గురూజీ నమస్తే.
Namaste, Aparna. Thank you.
What is the main goal of Ananda Sangha, and is it only to the people who are interested in seeking God or want to be in spiritual path, or Ananda Sangha is for everybody?
It's for everybody, but it starts from a basis of meditation and having a relationship with God. But it also is about bringing the divine in practical and real ways into every part of our life. And so a lot of our classes are teaching that, about how to spiritualize relationships, marriage, how to spiritualize business. We have a team that works and does corporate workshops teaching meditation. And in those workshops, there's less talk about God and more just about working in harmony with others, working with calmness, with energy and with creativity. Same with the music and the arts. So Ananda's sort of role and work is very broad, but it's also very deep. And what Swami Kriyananda brought, he would interest people in something very simple, just like yoga postures. And he would interest people in the yoga postures. And then when they started doing the yoga postures, he would start introducing a little bit of meditation, and people would start to realize, oh, this is good. And then they would start to have a deeper practice of meditation. And so it's starting where people are at, and it's reaching out to people where they are, rather than sitting on the mountaintop and saying how holy we are and saying you must come up here and be spiritual like us. It's really going to where people are and serving them,
Right.
and giving to them and helping them realize their own true nature, really. It's about helping people understand and realize their own higher self. Yeah.
Correct. So here comes the actual question.
Okay.
Many youngsters are very comfortable in their lives, right? They're like, be it the age of 14 to 20 or 14 to 25, they are all in their high spirits of energies, and they are very comfortable and in the, that active blood, going through their veins. Why would they need to seek God when they're all happy and energized?
Well, they don't need to see God if they're happy. And I mean, people who are happy, but at some point you go so far into this living in a materialistic way, and it starts to become hollow.
So you're
empty.
saying seeking God is only for the pettiest people or old people?
No, because young people also reach a point, like I did,
Yes.
where I realized I'm not happy with because I could have had a happy, quote, materialistic life, but I knew that it was not going to fulfill me. And for some people, they're not ready to hear that, and they need to go through it and experience it, and maybe have a whole lifetime of it.
Many of the lifetimes, maybe.
And absolutely, many, many lifetimes of it, before they start getting very tired, bored of it, and realize,
True.
all the, I think it holds, it's like the carrot on the stick, always leading forward, but you never get the carrot.
Correct.
And people find that if they're only seeking materially, they never find that happiness and that fulfillment that they think it's going to give to them. And I would say to younger people who are thinking that it will, keep your eyes open and look around, especially if you look at people who have dedicated their lives to a single pursuit. Look in their eyes, look at their face. And if you look at people who have lived a materialistic life, fully indulging in it entirely, and if you look at their faces and their eyes, see if there's happiness there. Look at the faces of, I think, of rock stars who have indulged in a life of drugs and partying and all that. And look at their faces and their eyes when they get older, and you think, okay, this doesn't seem to be working for them as a long-term, viability. And look at the eyes of those who have lived a life of selfless giving to others, service, kindness, love, compassion, spirituality. And you see that as those people get older and older, you see the light gets brighter and stronger rather than less and less. And so for younger people, rather than looking at people's bank accounts for how
Yes.
happy they think they might be, look at the person themselves and see, are they really happy pursuing this direction in life? And do I want to go in this direction and follow them?
But Guruji, you see, like, yes, to the younger people, yes, you can say that. But even with that, when you have a financial stress or
Yeah.
when you have an emotional distress,
Yeah.
if you ask them to sit and meditate, we really cannot do it. Can we?
We can. And I mean, it's not like, all of us have different karmas that we're working on. All of us have emotional stress. I mean, I lost my wife, and talk about an emotional, very human stress. And in that stage, the human heart, it doesn't.
It breaks.
Yeah, it breaks. The philosophy, all the grandiose philosophy in the world is not good enough. You can read the books and read the philosophy, but the heart still hurts.
Right.
And so it's a human condition. It's not limited to those who are just either in this arena of life or that. And meditation is ideal for this. And having a daily, regular practice of meditation, it starts to become almost a skill where you're not necessarily going into divine bliss and union with God, but you're learning just on a regular basis to calm the emotions, calm the negative emotions, to find peace in your heart under all conditions. And it's not easy, but it's possible. It's a skill that one can learn, and that I have seen, because no human life is free from suffering. It's inevitable that we have loss, we have grief, we have health problems, pain, betrayals, friendship, all these things. It's just part of being human. And it's even the saints, they go through these things.
Correct.
And the practice of meditation and these things that we do help one to cope with it. And I just also want to touch on one thing, because I'm not advising younger people who might have the karma to be a business person to reject that. Because for some people, that's what they're meant to do, is to make a business or become successful in some way, but to do it with God and to bring God into it. Because if someone has the karma to fulfill, to be in this world and in the material world in terms of business or in some way, but to do it in an enlightened way. And in fact, this world needs enlightened business people and people out there who are giving and generous and prosperous, but in a generous,
Right.
sharing kind of a way.
So we're all making of our karma, right?
Yeah.
And from many past lives, we do our karmas, be it good or bad. But doesn't karma play the most important role in our lives, whether we are trying to reach our spiritual paths? If you have a burden of bad karma, how can you do that actually?
I've seen, I'll talk about my own experience, which is that what some people think as, quote, bad karma can be the best spiritual karma, because it can motivate you to seek God and to start developing your inner life. Some things that people think are good karma or the best karma, like winning the lottery, for example, to use an exaggerated example, they study lottery winners over the years and find that they're the most unhappy people in the world within 3 to 5 years after they have had the best good karma possible in many people's eyes. So karma is not good or bad, except what we make of it. And I've seen that suffering in my own life has, because I've learned to use it and to use it as a tool for my own growth and to grow closer to God, not by being negative and rejecting the world and saying I'm done with all this mess because it's so hard and this bad karma, but by learning to transmute grief and sorrow and loss and pain into something much higher, which is divine joy, that even bad karmas can really be the very best good spiritual karma in the end. if you work with it in the right way.
Yes.
And that's a lot of this book actually talks about this.
Okay.
About how to work with emotions that cause us trouble, with chronic pain, which I've had to deal with in my life, with the loss of a loved one, with fear, with anxiety, all these things.
Guruji, with all your practice from 17 to almost you must be having 25 to plus years of meditation practice.
Yeah, I've had 47 years of it.
Then how can you have chronic pains? You must be detoxifying and awaken all your chakras.
We still have karmas to work out, and we have a body. The saints don't have perfect bodies. I saw this with Swami Kriyananda and Paramahansa Yogananda. His body went through a lot of physical stuff.
Yeah, when I was reading and seeing the pictures of Paramahamsa Yogananda in Autobiography of a Yogi, I got this doubt. He does a lot of Kriya Yoga, but he's having a big tummy. And
true saints and masters aren't interested in miracles.
Okay.
And they aren't interested in showing off their body, because if it was about having the perfect body, then these muscle builders and weightlifters and athletes would be saints, but they're not. And so yogis, they don't put too much energy. They try to keep the body fit and healthy. But some of these saints, they have large bodies and some have very thin bodies. Yoganandaji jokes about that in his book, about how saints either seem to be very emaciated or have these big bellies.
Yeah.
And just people look at it too much outwardly. I met a woman once, and she met Yoganandaji long ago. And she met him right after he came back from his visit to India in 1935 and 1936. And during that visit, he visited his family and relatives in Bengal. Everybody fed him everywhere he went. 10, 20, 30 course meals. They just kept feeding him and feeding him. And he gained a lot of weight. And the photos of him when he came back, he was even larger than large. And this woman I met saw him at that time. And the second she saw him, she said, no, this man could not be a saint. He's too fat. He could not be a holy man. And later she realized her mistake. And later she had an inner experience of Yogananda and realized that he was a great master. And to her credit, she admitted how foolish she had been. And she didn't go back to Yogananda while he was alive. She didn't realize her mistake till much later. But she became a disciple after he left the body. And so saints, you can't judge them outwardly or by their personality even. Because different saints and masters have different personalities. And sometimes people relate to the person rather than to the inner consciousness of the saint or the master.
Yeah. But after that thought, my belly started growing a lot.
Yeah, that's it's a good excuse to have a large belly. I know it is.
Maybe Paramahamsa Yogananda Guruji got angry about it.
Yeah, that thought. He caught that thought. And said, okay, let's see who has a large tummy.
Yeah.
Here. Okay. But don't look too much at the personality or the form of the saints or masters. And this is just, this is materialism in a way, is to look at the form.
Yes.
We think of materialism just as wanting money, but materialism really is looking at matter as the reality and looking at the form of someone as the reality, or looking at, a table as solid, when we really, all is energy. And this is, again, with this book, this is the new age that the title talks about. Spiritual awakening for the new age. The new age is an age of energy. And scientists, they have realized and proved that matter is energy. It's not solid, it's just pure energy. Correct. And this, Yogananda taught the same thing. Right. Before the scientists figured out, he said, this world is a world of energy. Correct. And Kriya Yoga is really about learning to work with this energy, this inner energy, and understanding that we are made of energy. Yeah. And the form that our body takes, the shape, the size, is immaterial, both literally and figuratively. And so Kriya Yoga helps us to understand that everything is energy and not matter, and how to work with that energy and how to kind of ride this wave of energy that's sweeping the world, because we see this world is becoming more and more energetic, chaotic, crazy. True. It's speeding up all the time. And the only way to deal with this wave of energy is, I use the analogy in the book of a surfer who catches the large wave in the ocean. and he has to swim very fast to catch the wave. But if he can do that skillfully with his own energy, then he can ride this wave of energy and make great spiritual progress with that wave, rather than being smashed by the wave, which many people are being smashed by this wave in this world right now.